Set up a just do this so I know that I've done it properly.
That's what I'm doing with all my sediment stuff now, is just...
You set it and forget it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like I think, how do we just start? So here we go here. One's recording. So it's the formatting. There we go. Hit use. Focus there. Find everything's out of focus. Now.
That's fine, you can see me. It's a podcast.
It's a podcast, right? So I guess the weird part of it is like we're recording it.
Yeah.
So the recording
Sitting right.
part is the fun part because we're 1, 2, okay, we're live.
You're kind of sitting right.
I see my phone.
You're right.
This is such a great start.
It's fine.
The entire shot of you is just going to be the back.
Yeah, the back of your head and
Yeah.
the side of your ear.
Yeah, just the pokey ears sticking out. It's like, yeah, that's great. We can see who it is that he's talking to now. So, okay, where do we want to begin? Pull up your stuff.
Give me a stellar intro.
Yeah, I'm just going to introduce you. I'm going to do it live. We're going to do it live.
You can re-record it later if you hate it. So.
So you know me well. 10,000 things here.
Is it Wi-Fi or?
Let's go here. So we're going to talk mainly about social media. Yeah, it's a little tricky, but I think these guys. There we go. There's Seneca.
Yeah.
So introducing, yeah, so there we go. So yeah, I'm like, because there's too many, when you start something, it's so hard to know what to begin with.
Yeah.
And so you end up with like this list that goes through your head, and then you start looking at all the things. So let's talk about you. So Courtney Genereaux is our guest today. And you have been, oh my gosh, you have been an assistant for me.
I've been a lot of things, yeah.
You've been a stylist, you've been a photographer, you've been a business owner, you've been a PA.
Honestly,
right?
you're making me sound really good.
I know, right? It's like there's so many things. Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you too,
Yeah.
because this podcast is about showing stories that people wouldn't necessarily hear about.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of people out there who get a lot of camera time, a lot of audio time, but this is more about how to grow from like grassroots, right? Like you're not growing a company from your parents' company, correct?
Yep. Yep.
You're building this all on your own.
Yep.
And so let's just kind of talk about where you currently are.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about mainly about voice in brand, because I feel like you do that really well.
Thank you.
And have a solid grasp of what that looks like.
Yeah.
So currently you're working as a PA for Tim McKinney.
Yep.
You have sediment apparel.
Yep.
Anything else I'm aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing my own, like I'm taking on clients to do basically management for marketing. Most of them are small businesses.
Yeah.
Tim is the majority of that because he's got a lot of small businesses. And my own and my family's basically right now. But.
Yeah. So Tim McKinney, for anybody who's like watching or listening to this outside of this area, so
Yeah.
he's a real estate agent in the local area who has done so many good things for the area. We're actually filming this in the loft, which is part of his legacy.
B&Bs, yeah.
Airbnbs, and he's done just amazing things, and it's always a pleasure watching him go to the next project,
Yeah.
because it's always something that's going to be amazing.
Yep.
And he puts his heart and soul into it and makes sure it works, and yeah, he's a good people.
He's good peeps, yeah.
He's good people. So let's talk about social media management and what that should look like.
Yeah. I find organizing the most crucial part. Like when you get, because I'm working with like someone like you who brings content for the client, or if the client has content already, I'm finding like someone like Tim's business has a lot of content from all the house photos, branded shoots. Keeping that organized and putting that in a system to then coordinate with is, like, you can't do it any other way.
No.
If you don't have your content organized in a way that works for you or your client, I guess if you're handing it over, you lose stuff. Like, I find a lot of people don't save stuff from years past that's still relevant, and then all of a sudden they need new content, they spend more money, whatever the situation may be. Like, Tim's the prime example. After a house is sold, it's gone.
Yeah.
So what do you do with it after that?
Yeah.
You have 50 plus photos of this house, and you've posted 7, 10.
It would be cool to have a central database for real estate agents, and someone's going to snap this idea and it's going to be beautiful. Where
It's a whole.
the house has like a market number.
Yeah.
What happens is you upload the photos to it. But what happens is those stay there. So then if that house goes back on the market, people can actually go back and say, what did it look like 50 years ago?
Yeah.
And just be able to pull back and have like a history of that house.
And for the house owner.
And for the house owner
Yeah,
too, it's
really.
amazing, right? And if the house owner had access to that, as long as they own that property,
Yeah.
that would be amazing. Yeah, just
Just throwing out an idea.
show
Everyone wants to jump
yeah,
on it.
exactly. Yeah, so I mean, like that would be kind of
Yeah.
an interesting thing, because I know from my end, like the storage, right? Like we're
Yeah.
shooting 2 4K cameras today,
Yeah.
right? This will probably be close to 500 gigs worth of data time we're done, along with the audio, and then there's the actual cutting and putting all that stuff together. So immense amounts of data
Yeah.
go through my studio, to the point where we purchased a backup drive last year. My wife's gonna kill me so much, and we filled up. Like it's literally, I was filling up. I was like, I turned around and said, "What do I have that's not on the backup server?" 2017 through to 2019, all of that had to leave the server to make room for the current shoots. Yeah, so we're at the point where data is becoming more and more expensive.
Yeah.
More and more like.
And then you don't have quick access to it
You don't have
either.
quick access to it, because now I have to literally go onto a drive that's slow, specifically to keep it safe, and pull that stuff. So how does it work for you if you've got multiple clients? Because obviously you've got just the select, so you don't have all of the raw files. you
Yeah,
don't
and
have
my
raw
files aren't as big either.
Yeah.
Like I haven't had an issue with storage even just on my laptop yet.
Yeah.
Everything is however the client wants it. Everyone pretty much uses Google Photos.
Yep. I
don't know if I've pushed that on everyone enough,
You should.
but everyone uses
It's a
Google
great way.
Photos.
It's a great way.
I use Google Photos, and then everything goes onto my laptop once it gets sent to me, so I'll download it and save it, put it in a select folder of the client. Once something's posted, it gets deleted from my files, but it's obviously on theirs in Google or however they wanna save their own stuff, but that's how I don't post the same thing twice, because it's obviously a lot to keep track of. And then, I mean, you work through stuff, especially if you're posting like carousels or reels with multiple amounts of photos, so you get rid of like 10 photos at once. Or I do that with Pinterest too, where I watermark the image with the business's name, save it in a file with Pinterest or whatever, and then you throw it up and get rid of it.
Find there's 2 kinds of image really in this world. There's the perpetual images, so what we call keystone media.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff when you bring in the heavy hitters to do that work. And so that's like my company comes in and we do keystone media. So if you need shots for your billboards, I know that billboard looks amazing. Like against the white sky, everything is white right now, and there's just the blue pops.
Oh,
Yeah, you should try it. Honestly,
okay.
it looks so
Good.
I was really proud of that this morning. I was trying to half asleep. I'm like, oh, I know that was
Recognize
there. It's so cool. But like, that's keystone media.
Yeah.
So keystone media is really important because it has to live in perpetuity.
Yeah.
But social media is different because it doesn't need to live for long. In fact, like things like TikTok is a great example, right? So like these clips are gonna go to TikTok, and what they'll do is they'll live there for like a day or 2, and then they'll disappear.
Yeah,
They'll go onto YouTube shows, which take longer because
with like anything that I use regularly, I either pull from the direct file, like if you emailed me the Dropbox, I'll go back there,
Yeah.
I'll just bookmark it on my laptop, or I end up just pulling from the Google Photos.
You know what's interesting?
Really, if I need that.
You know what's interesting about the Dropbox?
What?
Is it's just a shuttle.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, I just give you the
Yeah.
files. So,
I always go back there.
here's the reality of what happens. I put stuff on the Dropbox, I have a 1 terabit Dropbox, I can fill that guy up in about half a year.
Yeah,
With just deliverables.
so you're telling me to download my stuff?
You should always.
It's on Google Photos,
Yeah,
but.
so download that stuff
Yeah.
for sure. So what happens is, if I need to make room, is I usually sort the folders by who's the biggest. And then I look and go, okay, Tim's folder's giant right now.
There you go.
Like, when's the last time we shot for them? Okay, 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then inevitably, I get a phone call the next day. Hey, try to access my photos, they're gone. It's like, oh yeah, that's not.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think partially too, it's a communication thing. So I just need to communicate better with my clients, say, hey.
If they're inactive too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, like, I've literally had clients come back from like 5 years. And be like, hey, can I have those photos? It's like, well, we gave them to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then that becomes a panic moment because now
And
you
you're
go
like,
back
oh my
and
god, which drive are they on?
which hard drive? Yeah, because I have 7 external hard drives alone, like giant hard drives, plus a couple of NAS boxes, plus the main NAS box to go through. And of course, I'm a creative, so organization is not my strong suit. So that might shock a lot of people. So yeah, and that's kind of where it becomes difficult as a creative, is that organization.
It's organizing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you figure out your system, and I found that that's how I sort my stuff, as like for the social media side. Like once it's used, it's kind of done. Videos are a little bit like hit or miss. Obviously, you can pull stuff all the time, so anything on Google Photos you can go back and get in that regard. But photos just kind of go away.
Yeah.
Once you post it.
Into the ether.
Yeah.
Isn't that scary though? Because I think of like how much time people spend right now looking at social media.
Yeah.
And like I know we've had probably a dozen people this year have come to us and said, hey, we really want you to do our social media. How much will that cost? So then when they find out that it's like $5,000 a month, for example, they sit there and they panic because they're like, well, holy crap, how do I get the return on investment? And my point is always, we're not suited to that because it doesn't make sense. It's better to go and do the content yourself. Now, I will say that there is a tipping point where as a company, they should hire people to go and do that. And the creatives coming in bring a higher level, right? Or have an internal media company, which is in itself can be expensive. So by hiring someone out at $5,000 a month, that's gonna save you a lot because you're not hiring 3 creatives full time.
Yeah, full-time media.
And then have to find shit for them to do too.
Yeah.
So you sit there and you're like, okay, bring the media guys out, we'll do a TikTok today. Yeah, but there's no planning, right? So like, at least with this you have some kind of planning and structure.
Yeah, it's like those videos on TikTok where it's like when the social media person comes in and they just start filming you, or like, and then you just hide under your desk. That's kind of.
I like the ones where they're just like, here comes the social media guy, and it's like shit.
Yeah.
And they're just hiding. Those ones make
You
me
don't
laugh.
want to do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I kind of want to switch gears and talk about hats in business, because you're a business owner. So you are your social media manager, you are your accountant, you are all of those things.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? And I mean, you've got a day job basically.
I mean, you don't.
Okay.
Like
talk
it is
about
what
that.
it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, specifically with that, like your day job is kind of your first job. Like if you're not sustainable as a business to just run on its own, it's your second to last priority.
Yeah.
Most of the work that I do for Sediment is my free time, which there's not a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, the media could be better.
The irony of working in your free time.
Yeah.
Right? Like free time should be where there's
Free
nothing.
time?
It's free time.
Yeah.
It's
Let's
just more
watch
work.
Netflix.
Yeah, even if it's to watch Netflix or anything else other than
You have
work,
to love it.
you have to love it.
Yeah. No, that's the one thing, and like obviously I don't love doing accounting.
No.
But if
Do
you
you
don't,
outsource that?
no.
You just do it yourself?
Yeah, but I've taught myself a lot about it because it is the one thing that I just avoid, and I put off to last. Every month I would try, like the first of the month or the last of the month, I'll try to make sure it's accurate because I'm also that organized person that doesn't want to get stressed out at the end of the year and you know, you're
In panic mode.
yeah, you're
It's like everything's everywhere. Yeah.
And like my dad went to he graduated for accounting, so I've been picking his brain.
Yeah.
He hasn't practiced it in a long time, so it's
Mhm.
extremely different. And I probably annoy the heck out of my accountant.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
having somebody good to
Yeah.
help you and just making sure you're organized. Spreadsheets like nobody's seen before.
Yeah.
For everything. Just keeping all your receipts, but you have to teach yourself.
Yeah.
Like even just photo, video, social,
Well, and that's the thing.
selling, buying, all the things, whatever you do.
It used to be simple, right? Like
Yeah.
if you had like you wanted to sell like a coffee, right? You just had to be good at making coffee, and then you tell your friends, and they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and it would just get out there because the market wasn't the same. Now the market's different, where you put out coffee, great. So does my dog.
Sister and your
Yeah,
brother,
exactly,
it's like
yeah.
everyone's a real estate agent.
And everyone's a real estate agent, right? So it's like, it's a really weird meta we're in right now,
Yeah.
where companies need to first and foremost have a good concept of what they're doing,
Yeah, know who you are.
and then like the who basically,
Yeah.
and then they need to know why they do what they're doing,
Yeah.
which is massively important. But then there's the I'm going out and actually making this happen, so everyone has to become a media company, which
Yeah.
is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because like that in itself, like I built an entire business on it.
Yeah.
Because it's that complicated. And now they're asking people, especially with like socials
Yeah, small
and
business
websites,
owners to do
and
this.
small business owners are just gonna get absolutely crushed. I think we're gonna see in the next 6 to 12 months, we're gonna see such a revolution in small businesses. The small businesses are gonna realize with everything that's going on, with economic downturns, they're gonna sit there and be like, there's an opportunity here for small businesses to make a mark. Right? Whenever there's a change in the market, there's an opportunity for small businesses to stand up and be bigger than they currently are, because they're closer to their environment.
Yeah.
Right? So people start looking closer, like, okay, I don't want to spend on my Amazon this year. What can I buy local? And what can I buy at like Cinnamon? And like start looking at those things. Are you online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Do you know how many businesses, when I started promoting it early COVID, saying, hey, let me help you get online? And I was not charging
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So many businesses were like, I'll be fine. This will pass
No,
over.
yeah, no you won't.
I'm like,
Yeah. I started that way.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's my age, I don't know, but especially when you're selling secondhand clothes, like.
yeah. Do you remember your first sale?
Yeah. I don't know if it was my first sale, it was my first memorable sale.
Okay, let me hear the story.
I thrift shopped forever. Like, when I was young, I would walk over my lunch, I went to Centennial, and I would walk over to the Giant Tiger. There was like a Salvation Army in that plaza. I'd walk over there and I would just shop there on my lunch break. And I found this, like, vintage army, like, knit sweater. It had like a crest on the front. And it was like special.
Yeah.
I loved it. I wore it all the time. Got to a point where I was done with it. And that's probably around when I started my business. And I'm sure I sold stuff on Facebook Marketplace beforehand. But that was like the one thing that I remember valuing so much that then sold.
Yeah.
And I remember I was working at a boutique in the county when I started, maybe just before COVID, a couple years before COVID. And I had a little more free time, that's when I built the website that I now have.
And you built that just yourself doing WordPress, or did you use like a pre-build?
I started with Wix, just cause it's easy.
If anybody says that they can't do a website, I tell them,
go to Wix.
go to Wix.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't need to be a genius.
No, it's
Right?
drag and
It's
drop.
really simple. Like I can build like a simple site. Like I have my designer Alex Hilbrand. He's an amazing artist, and he also does amazing graphic art.
Yeah.
And so what I have him do is do it because I don't have the time to do it now. Right? So I'm trading my money for the time that I should have spent on it.
I started with that.
Yeah.
And I still use that mostly just because it is easy. And if you need to pass it off, like if you need to pass something off to a client, they can take over easy peasy. But I started using Square for Sediment specifically because it's just a different, it's like a Shopify site.
Yeah.
And Wix is like a little more of a, I don't know that I would like buy and sell
It's like
stuff.
WordPress, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like well, they use a blog site, basically.
Yeah.
Right? It's really good at
Yeah.
putting out perpetual data, but it's not really.
Yeah, you have to
modifiable.
integrate your Square anyway, so
Yeah.
why not just use one system? So that's what I use now.
Yeah.
But
And then when you sold that shirt, you just remember being super happy? Or?
yeah, sad.
Sad?
Because I loved it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I should have sold it. I should have kept it. But
Did you think about buying it back?
well, I don't know. Just message them and be like,
Just
oh,
message
excuse
them.
me, can I pay you double?
You paid double for that. That's interesting. The value went up after you sold it.
Well, I like right off the bat, yeah. But like now looking at it, it's like, yeah, I probably still wouldn't be wearing it.
But you still want it.
I think I probably, because it was one of the first things like memorable that I had thrifted, and that's probably like what started the like excitement.
Yeah.
For the, like that's kind of what started the excitement for the business. I probably should have kept it.
Yeah.
Because it could have been like the thing.
But think of it this way,
But-
that was a catalyst for you, right? Like that was a catalyst moment showing that you could do this and you could make a living out of this potentially if you tried hard enough.
Yeah.
And like, how old were you at this point?
Oh my goodness, 21, 22? Around 22, I think.
So you
Yeah.
were pretty young to start as a business
Yeah,
owner.
and I was like selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace before that. Like
Yeah.
I would never get rid of something. I would always sell it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've kind of, in a way, have always been doing it, just not as a, oh, maybe I should be marketing this and
Yeah.
make a website and do this business.
How important is marketing?
Like 11
Yeah.
out of 5.
Do you think, especially now, that people should market more?
Yeah.
Well, because think of this, right? It's like there's a big pool of money that like businesses have access to.
Yeah.
Right. So on a percentage scale of if they've got like access to capital that should be spent on other things other than their necessities, right? Like obviously you don't
Oh.
spend on your marketing if you're struggling to pay the electric.
Staff.
Well,
Yeah,
staff.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
like staff always comes first. Like that's
Yeah.
the one thing. Like in AMP, the first thing we do is like we make sure that the crew's taken care of, the model's taken care of, the stylist, all of that stuff is taken care of first
Yeah.
before we start going on to any other expense.
I feel like it depends on the business.
Okay.
And like, I'm so enthralled with real estate right now that I feel like that's just a prime example. Like,
Yeah.
the market's kind of coming down.
Yep.
And, you know, we're in a small town. The people that are on the team know a lot of people. Most of the like leads come from referrals.
Yeah.
So is marketing as important as it would be for a clothing shop? Probably not.
Or not, yeah.
But you still need to have your name out there, you still need to be working on your business.
Well, you still have to maintain a certain level of quality. So if you've engaged, artists into
Yeah.
building out this look for your brand, you kind of have to hold that brand look or switch it up completely, right? So I know like there have been some clients where they've come and had us do work, and then they switch to another photographic group because it was just cheaper. And then they come back and they're like, well, it doesn't match with the stuff that we're currently doing. And I was, well, of course not. It's different,
Yeah.
right? Like you have to revamp the whole thing at that point so it has a cohesive value, right? When in real estate, you get to know what real estate agents
Yeah.
are working a lot by the value and the quality of the media they put out.
Yeah, if you're
Which is
posting
really cool.
houses all the time.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly, yeah.
listed, then.
Like I love seeing some of the stuff that you guys put out for the photos and videos. It's beautiful. It's like I sit there and I'm like, man, I want to live there.
Yeah.
Man, I want to live there. It's like that's good though, because that's where you want people to like share it and be
It's
like,
memorable, yeah.
yeah, can you imagine living here? It's
Yeah,
like,
and it's not like even like active houses that are being sold, it's just beautiful houses.
I love it. Like a well-designed building, it was just beautiful. Like this building, when I first walked into this building, I was just like, where the hell has this been? Like, Tim stopped me in, oh my gosh, it was at a barbecue for Bay of Quinte, who's like a local tourism marketing agency. And I was there, I was chatting, and there was Victor Cooper there, and we were chatting away, and then suddenly this guy, Tim, approaches me. And I'm leaving, my kids are melting down. Like they're young, they don't want to come to dad's stupid work thing. They were just like, no, let's get out of here. We've had our food, let's go. And Tim comes out and he's chatting away, and I'm trying to get these two worthy kids, and my wife's looking at me like, just hurry up, kind of thing. I said, hey, so yeah, and he's like, oh, come on by, take a look at the loft. And I have problems working with realtors because a lot of the times realtors can be quite difficult to work with in my business for like the branding stuff and stuff like that. So I was really reticent. So I kind of was like, yeah, sure, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. He's like, yeah, okay, see you there. And I'm like, here's my cell phone, text me the address. So it got here, and that's when I was like, oh, this is really special. What the hell? Like, why have I never heard of this?
Yeah,
And
it probably wasn't finished outside or
it wasn't
anything
finished
crazy.
outside. The inside was pretty much finished.
Yeah.
Travis was working on the ceiling, I believe, when I came in here. And I remember looking at this place going, this is something special. And then he's like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, well, can I suggest we do this? And he's like, yeah, do it. That was my first experience with someone so eager to just trust me in the process. And like, it's really hard because creatives, we are scatterbrained, we are all over the place, but we do have some kind of interesting ideas sometimes. And I feel like he recognized that, which is kind of cool. And ultimately it made it, so that we
Yeah, if
can
you
build
let
this.
someone who's creative do what they do,
Yeah.
they'll do some great stuff.
I think creativity now is 10 times more important than it was 2 years ago because of saturation,
Yeah.
right? So like if you look at, we'll just take the billboard for example. That thing pops because of two things. The color looks amazing,
Yeah.
right? And also the concept that you guys had was brilliant. It was simple, it was clean, right? The first thing we always do is try and distill down the concept, because the first thing clients come to you with is this mess. Like, oh, I want to do this, I want to tell people.
Yeah, not something that's clear.
Yeah, you were super clear. You're just like, we want to be known as like really good realtors, and we're going to kind of mimic a TV show as like a parody. But honestly,
If you know, you know.
if you know, you know, exactly. And like, I feel that one shoot got more traction on my end for people coming to me and saying, hey, we should like this. If we shot another one that was in a similar kind of vein, for it bringing up to Kingston and
I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that, yeah. And that one was kind of directly inspired by that, because like, wow, we love this, we want to encourage that. So now I'm looking at that, going, how do I do that consistently, right? And it's difficult because you have to basically trust the creative.
Yeah, or you have to have a client that has a
Has a
clear vision.
Clear vision.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Yeah, clear vision is difficult, especially because like, when you come in as a creative, you're looking at the business from like 10,000 feet, basically. You're not seeing all the inner workings.
Yeah.
And you sit there and say,
We had a lot of conversation about that before.
yeah.
Hey.
Oh, the ad itself?
Yeah, we had a ton of ideas.
Well, because what were some of the other ideas that didn't make the plate?
Well, it was more so going off of other movie posters. Like we were gonna just do all these random movies and TV shows that we thought we could make like a play on words for, and then we just kind of stuck with one, which I think was beneficial because it is real estate related, and if you know, you know, like people just knew it was inspired from this specific show versus like all these different movie genres, basically. I mean, we still do them, but.
An interesting fact is when I started my business, like this, we're talking fresh into digital, like I just sold my film camera and got into digital. I had this concept where I would do movie posters for people. Yeah, basically shoot.
And here you are doing movie posters.
Basically it's a full circle, which is really weird, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk about vision and voice in brand. Right, Sedman has a very clear vision, has a very clear voice, which I love. So give us like the 20-second pitch on Sedman, what it is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people listening or watching are sitting there going, I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, so it's secondhand clothing, and the goal is to save as many articles of clothing, hopefully moving forward into homeware, etc., from landfills. Because if you do any research or know anything about the fashion industry, it's absolutely terrible. And it's kind of me, like, that's why I think the brand is so strong, is that it's my personality. But yeah, that, I mean, knowing your tagline and knowing who you are, and that is what it is. It's just saving clothing from landfills, end of story. But
And it makes it really easy to tell your story
yeah,
when you're that clear,
yeah,
right? Because immediately, as soon as you say this, I have like simple, like clean, like earth tones. If you're gonna go to anything for your brand, because you want it to be able to hold
yeah,
various colors,
Yeah.
various like pieces, right?
Yeah.
And because you hand select all of these, correct?
no, yeah. So I started that way.
Yeah.
It was very vintage inspired when it started. Like, it's just turned into something so much bigger than me being able to go to Valley Village. Also, like, not to knock them down, but prices are expensive.
We
If
went
you're,
to Lee's in Valley Village the other day, and I was shocked because
Yeah.
I mean there's something about finding that
A really
right
good item.
piece,
yeah,
right? And especially when you're not expecting it. When
Yeah.
you're walking like, oh, I'm gonna buy a top, and then you're like, oh, I see these jeans. I was like,
you
that
try them
is-
on and they fit perfectly, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, these are coming home.
this is like, it's like hunting, right? It sounds
Yeah.
like you just like, you're going out there and you find that and that's your catch,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is like, I love that.
Yeah.
It's so exciting, and I still do it, like, that's what you'll see a couple things
Yeah.
that I've picked out. Usually end up in my wardrobe, because I don't usually shop for myself anymore. But most of my stuff, like, that's a whole other beast, and who even knows how you start to fight that power, because a lot of their stuff does end up in garbage bins.
Is
So
that just because the quality that they're being given is just
I think it's
subpar?
both quality and just quantity.
Yeah.
They just have so much. People just, it's a
Consume.
consumer culture.
Consume, yeah.
Yeah, and it just ends up there in even weeks, like new with tags, like all of that, and it just ends up in another country.
We saw
In
that
a
the other day
landfill.
too. It's like we saw literally they still have the tags on.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there and I was like, is this brand new clothing?
Yeah. So what I've been trying to do, and obviously I don't know how you scale this, but just locally, if people I know, friends and family, is how I started, is donation
Mhm.
to me, and then I would, in the end of the year, donate a portion of the proceeds to a charity of choosing.
Yeah.
And then that turned quickly into consignment. A lot of people have a hard time parting with things. And especially if you're not giving it to a charity, they have a harder time parting
Yeah,
with
'cause this
things.
becomes a profit thing, right?
Yeah, so I've started that way, and every once in a while I'll show up at my house and there'll be something on the front porch. So that's
Yeah.
like no need to basically buy product from Village to Lee's, Village Army anymore, because there's just so much stuff.
So you house all of this at home.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you wanna
I'm
talk
still
about
fine.
it?
You don't want to talk about it. I totally get it because like
Yeah, no, I would love, I mean, I think I need a storefront at this point,
Yeah.
because my spare bedroom is just crowded. Actually, it's in our garage now, because it's just so much
like
storage.
our kids' studio space set up, we'll just have a little corner for you.
Yeah, a little
Set
rack.
it, set it. It could
Honestly,
be, it
I
could be
need
a
it.
pop house too. It could be like, you can say like a wardrobe too.
That's great.
Actually, that's
Yeah, I would love to be able to figure out how to function. The problem is, if it's not at my house, I don't particularly have time to go somewhere
and try it
to
on,
manage it.
video it.
Yeah,
Because like all of your stuff, I've seen you do a lot of videos, you do a lot of stills.
yeah. If I'm at home and wake up and I have 5 minutes in the morning, I'm gonna throw something on and record myself trying it on,
Yeah.
or list something online, because it does take a long time to list stuff. Like that's when I kind of do that. So if it's not easy, it just adds to the. Like I've thought about taking it to my parents' house.
Yeah.
It's
so-
like, hey dad, can I use your basement?
Mhm.
Because why not? And they would totally let me. It's just then I have to drive to their house, and they don't live far, in 5 minutes.
It's, creating barriers, right? So like you've got friction points at that point that make it harder and harder to do the right thing.
Yeah,
It's like if you wake up in the morning and you want to go for a run,
you do it.
put your running shoes at the end of your bed.
Yeah,
So you trip over them.
Yeah.
right? Like have something that stops your initial routine that you want to go to, because naturally we go to the easiest, the
Yeah.
safest, all of that.
Even just like shipping stuff out, you would have to plan going to get that thing, pack it somewhere else, then take it to the post office. It just adds all these extra steps.
How do you scale this?
Exactly.
Like how do you scale? No, this actual question.
Yeah.
Like it's so difficult to scale because it's so dependent on you.
Yeah, it's also like it's a very generic clothing business. All you need to do is like bring on a team, hire people. In theory, you sell more.
Yeah.
You make more content, all the things.
Yep, all the things.
But when you're small and it's not your priority, that's not like. Yeah, and I have so many things now that I probably should be bringing somebody on.
Yeah.
Because.
You need a young Courtney.
Yeah, I need somebody.
You need that 21-year-old.
I need somebody at my house at 5 in the morning to film with me with outfits. Like put on ball gowns at 5 in the morning.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Do you want to do it?
No. I do not have the body for ball gowns.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I brought in my
I should just
my ball.
just have Alex do it.
He does.
Yeah.
Not ball gowns. But he knows.
That'd be perfect though, because it would be something different. It would make people watch.
Yeah.
Right? That'd be kind of funny.
No, he does do the men's stuff, because I do get, it sells really well. I do get the odd men's item, but my mom, my sister-in-law, like I had a big family party at my house a couple weekends ago, basically to do inventory, because that's a whole other thing that I put off. Because
that's a beast in itself.
Yeah, and I can't, if I did it myself, it would take weeks.
Well, because clothing stores, think of it this way, usually, it would take someone like, gosh, who's a clothing store, I don't know, shop enough, Garage or Gap, something like that.
Something big.
They have, like, the same t-shirt in, like, 25 different sizes.
Yeah, you just
They
count
have the
that.
same shorts,
Yeah.
same jeans. So inventory is a lot easier because you have less SKUs to worry about.
Yeah.
With yours, they're all individual.
Yep.
Or you could have thousands of SKUs, basically, all unique.
Yeah.
Like, the organization that you need for that has to be on point, because if not, you're going to spend your entire time digging through piles of clothing.
Which is where I was at.
Yeah.
And then I brought everyone in, and we just, a weekend, basically, it's hard, and I've seen lots of things online on how, like, people who do reselling sort their stuff. And there's a lot of different ways, and whatever works for you, but it's a lot, and it takes a long time, and I've gotten better at it, especially after that. Like, it's easier to find stuff now, but I would consistently not find stuff. Like, I would consistently sell something, have to go look for it, and not be able to find it.
Yeah.
And then have to cancel the order, which is terrible. And then I'd find it 2 months later. Like, oh, okay.
And then do
I miss
contact
the
them?
person?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Like,
So-
hey, do you still want this?
I have a couple times, and like if someone's interested in buying something secondhand, they're probably pretty committed.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple people still buy it, and then others not. So it just depends on, I guess, the item and timing. If you find it a year later, they're probably not going to buy it. They probably got something else. But yeah, it's just figuring out what works.
Yeah.
For.
I feel like that's the hardest part about being self-employed or running a freelance company or being the person that's responsible for so many
Wearing all
hats,
the hats, yeah.
is you're also responsible to understand the direction that you're supposed to go in. You're supposed to understand and be able to tell people that you're bringing into your grouping where you're going and how to build it.
How
And
hard
you
is
don't-
it for someone to, my family to come and start helping me, and me have to then boss them around?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I don't know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to tell you what I'm doing.
It's a funny thing, because like when I was a child, I'm like, okay, when I get to be older, when I get to be an adult, I'll totally understand what I'm supposed to be doing and all.
Yeah.
And then when you get to be an adult, then you realize the secret of humanity is no one knows what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
And everyone's making up as they go along.
Yeah.
And the ones that try and put some effort into it, they'll see results. Right? Good or bad, they'll see results. Right? They'll see, something change. But then you'll see the people who sit there and they'll stay the same and they won't do anything and expect change and it doesn't arrive to them, and they look at the people who are going out and making fools of themselves, get better and better and better. I always tell people it's just repetitions, right? Like, you don't need to be good, you just need to be better.
Yeah, and
Like, you need to, better, you need to be different, sorry.
well, and just like you see a lot of stuff online right now, it's posting something is better than posting nothing. So if you film something and, you know, oh my gosh, the lighting is off, well, you spent that much time filming it, so just go for it. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, all my stuff's in my garage right now. The lighting in there is really not good.
Yeah.
But you need to film everything you do.
It's hard. So I am making a concerted effort this year to start documenting, because one of the things I want to share, and this is what Amplify is about. So it'll be like a 20-second on Amplify. So Amplify is about going from freelancer to agency, basically. And so I want to glean as much information as I can from friends, family, anybody around who will sit down and have this conversation in front of cameras, because this is a total stressful, like looking at camera one, camera two, camera over here, you know? Like, that's a stressful thing. And like, going out there and being vulnerable, like being out there for everyone to see.
Saying the wrong thing and Ash putting it in the podcast anyway? Just kidding.
You don't know this, you don't know this.
Yeah.
That's why I built this, is to see and to show people why. And it's terrifying.
Well,
I don't think for 1 second that either of us are sitting here going, yeah, this is easy. Because like, this is my first time doing a podcast.
yeah.
That's live.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically recorded specifically for my ends. And have you been on a podcast before?
No.
So yeah, it's being afraid is normal, but putting out the work is key. Because I find, who was this that said this? There's a beautiful quote that says, "You don't tell your story, someone else will." And that's powerful, because if you don't tell your story, someone literally will tell it, and you have to like it or not. Right?
Well, and it's the same with like photos of yourself, you hate it.
Yeah.
But
And everyone is the most critical of themselves.
it's like going back to me doing most of my like sediment work at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
You don't particularly look your best at 5 a.m., let me just say. So,
I run at 5 a.m. I don't want to be in front of a camera at 5 a.m. I don't
Yeah.
like that's impressive to me.
well, it's the only free time I have, really. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you work your 9 to 5, which is not exactly my work hours when you really look at all the things I'm doing. That's when I'm having my morning coffee is when I'm working or eating dinner, which, you know, don't tell everyone about because I'm eating dinner and I'm working on the phone. But it's something you have to get over. Like, I absolutely realize that you need to, like what you said, document yourself. And if you don't show people what you're doing and how you're doing it, you're not gonna grow, they're not gonna grow, like, you're not helping anyone. And you know, sometimes you don't look your best, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes your hair's in a bun and it's greasy and you're wearing track pants and you're making it real.
That's just like
Good.
one of the things that held me back, and so this is like a creative's block, right? Because we know, and like, you're a really good creative, and you know, you're not giving yourself enough credit there. Her photos are beautiful. She does amazing videos.
Yeah, except for when I'm wearing my hair in a bun and track pants.
It looks fine. They look great. I shouldn't say fine.
You haven't seen those yet, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I think you should put those up.
We're working on it, we're getting there.
I always tell people, it's like, Instagram is like a highlight reel. TikTok is real.
Yeah.
So there's the big difference.
Yeah,
So
I've
this,
been playing with that algorithm.
I noticed.
We talked about it a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
We did. And
Yeah.
so it's funny because after that, I've been sitting there thinking what I wanted to put out on TikTok. Because I love the concept of TikTok, because the ability to just put content out there and let it be and not be governed by so much, you know, you must consistently post.
And just make it look nice. Like,
Make it look nice,
Instagram
yeah.
looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It's Instagram, that's what it's for.
Yep, so my first post was very staged. Right? It took me 3.5 hours to shoot like a 20-second video. right? It took me another half an hour to edit, and it was just fun. I had fun doing it. I had a new piece of gear I was really excited to use.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then one of my friends, he's like, well, how do you like that? So then this morning, after reading it 2 days ago, I was like, I need to respond to this. I'm like, okay, so if I set up, and this is where I go in my head. So I'm like, okay, so if I set up the desk so it doesn't look like it's chaos downstairs, because I've got all the audio gear from another podcast that we just shot, and I've got all the camera gear. So if I move that stuff out of the way, I throw that spotlight down, maybe put like a grid so it looks like sunlight's coming through, add some mist, do like a nice soft front light, and I kind of, it sounds really nice, right? But then I stopped and was like, what's the value that I'm giving? They're not what I'm asking. They just need to be the answer. So I'm literally drinking my coffee, filmed it, put a go mic on me. Just have on me. I don't. Okay, good. And put the go mic on me and just record it live on my phone, because I need to start showing my clients what needs to be done on there, because they don't always need like what we're doing today. Like this is even high level, right? I was thinking about lighting today, but then I'm like, well, we've got beautiful lighting here, sometimes we're skylights, and honestly, like, I need to get over that. That's a creative block. So what happens as a creative is we block ourselves with perfection all the time.
Yeah.
And we need to get over that and start pushing out content consistently.
Yeah.
And just being honest, showing the flaws, and just having fun with it. Like that's part of it. It's like I want to do skits on TikTok and just have fun building those out. I want to show like the shoot.
And you post like funny stories. You make like a story out of your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I want to do more of, because every time I do that, people are like, oh my god, that's so funny. Right? Like I had a story about Phil.
Yeah.
Who's on?
That's exactly what I was talking
Yeah, that one there, and that got so much traction, and I had so much fun. The problem is sometimes trying to find the story gets tiring.
Yeah.
And so you need to develop out a work life and a work environment that stories are given to you at all times, right? Like the stories here today are easy, right?
Yeah, about us.
Yeah, but tomorrow, what do I have tomorrow? Like when I'm sitting and editing stuff, how to make a story out of that. So how would you go about making a story from nothing? Like a boring.
Well, I legitimately film everything. Well, in the sense that I don't sit in my office with the 40 other people I work with and film myself, because that's not appropriate. If I'm at home, I'm probably filming myself in some sort of capacity. If that's just like a phone in front of me, recording me working on my laptop, great.
You make leaves, like picking up leaves.
Literally, I raked leaves here.
Sitting there, oh my, okay.
It's funny, right? But it's also like, if you don't, like, it's almost like you're becoming a vlogger.
Yeah.
Thinking of it that way, and in a sense that, you ask the people in your life if they're okay to be on camera or not.
Yeah, which I'm really happy you're here today, because this has been so fun.
If you dive deep enough into me, I vlogged consistently for like a year. There are videos of me living in Toronto, I was 19 or 20, on YouTube. And that's the mindset that I've tried to get back into, because I actually really liked it. It's just a kick in the pants because no one's watching those, right?
Okay.
But that's not encouraging. So it's just a different version of that.
Yeah.
Now that is created by TikTok and Instagram, just setting your phone out and just doing something. And if you're talking to the camera, if you don't feel comfortable talking to the camera, film yourself raking leaves and just make a funny caption, and you're ready to go.
Well, I feel that's the thing that's so beautiful about following your stories and following your videos is your.
It's funny because you're talking about my personal stuff, not even my like work.
But that's the funny part. It's like that's the funny part.
Yeah.
Is you have learned to tell your story, and people just want to be a part of that story, right? Like I was saying to my daughter the other day, she's complaining about not having jeans and stuff like that. I'm like, talk to Courtney.
Yeah.
Right? Go find out how to get hold of Courtney stuff and go and have a look. I'm sure she'll even say to you, come take a peek.
Yeah.
Because she's like 14 years old, which is a wonderful age. And they have very specific things. And I remember having a very heated argument with my mom when I was 14. She had purchased this thing while I was standing there in the shops. And she's like, yeah, you want this? Like, yeah, whatever. I didn't even look at the thing. So then she's like, well, you need to wear that for Monday. And so on Monday, I'm like looking at this thing, I'm like, I'm not fucking wearing it. It was, I'll describe it for you because it was wonderful. It was early 90s. It was that, we used to call it shell suit in England. I'm not sure what it's called over here. It's like a it's not even nylon, it's not stretchy, it's kind of like a shiny-ish kind of material.
Okay. Like a rayon or something.
Yeah, but it's like, it was very 90s.
Okay.
And it was bright purple, had a green stripe down the track pants, and then there's a white stripe that followed it. And then the matching top.
That's good. It's good luck.
It's not good. And I was
Just throw a
like,
picture up, right?
I'll probably wear it now just to be ironic now. Just to be like, oh, this is kind of funny.
90s, it's cool, it's trendy again.
And now I wear it just for fun. And like, to this day, I still remember that argument when she was like, livid because she just spent a ton of money on this outfit that was not going to work. And so we had this similar kind of argument with my daughter. And so I'm just like looking at her like, we're just going to need to let you do your thing. And she's got to find a way because she's at that age where she wants to develop and become herself.
Yeah.
You know, she takes more photos of herself than I have ever done, I think.
Generation.
Oh man.
Yeah.
They're like this generation coming out are going to have such
Records of themselves.
oh yeah, just the records, just the processes, everything. Right? Like what we're talking about doing, like it's some rocket science, they're gonna do
They're
like
doing
nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're going to show like the 5 a.m. shoot. They're going to show all that.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah. I think that's the key though. Like
I think so too.
I have gotten into such a mindset of becoming like the dream of Courtney when she was young as a YouTuber. Just a lifestyle vlogger.
We still can do that. I mean, you're pretty much getting there.
Dude, it died quickly. I am reviving YouTube a little bit with shorts.
Yeah.
Because again, it's timing. I don't have time to sit and edit a video. I don't have time to record myself every second of the day.
So
it's unrealistic.
So maybe we can help you with that because there's I'm not sure the cost of it. There's repurpose.io, which is amazing, which basically propagates a video into multiple different formats.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
Yeah, there's a couple companies
So
that do
that one
that I've
there.
seen.
There's also, if you're not an Adobe fan person, I am not.
Okay.
So you can use Descript, which basically you put your video in, and it will actually transcribe the audio. You can then cut and like cut the whole video up on there, just using the text. So if I see you saying I can select delete, and it
all
chops it
the
out. Yeah. Because people are used to seeing shortcuts now.
Yeah. That was how I used to. It's talking to a camera. You sit there and you're like, what am I saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then you fill in words. I remember taking out a lot of bombs in my videos.
I work with one of my clients on talking to the camera correctly all the time because she always replaces ums and so's. And I love working with her because she's getting so much better at it. And I think the last time we filmed her, she was down to like 5 in the total video, which I was really, really happy about because I'm like, that's what it's took me. Now I'm gonna probably watch this back and go, shit, I use this filler. There's always like knowing your fillers, right? And I was like, so, and yeah.
You know, I don't know if this is a topic that anyone wants to hear about, but do you watch a lot of YouTube?
I watch some YouTube. I actually am very particular in not consuming too much.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're consuming all the time, you're not able to create from an authentic place.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of have an idea, but then create from that authentic place, which means limiting how much I consume on YouTube.
I've been watching like the more educational side of the creator economy, which I'm finding really helpful for even just like the small business mindset in recording and reels and just all the things.
Yeah.
Titles. Jesus.
Titles and thumbnails.
Yeah.
Will sell your video.
Yeah, that's hard.
Like if we had like some like controversial thumbnail for this.
Yeah.
Like she did what?
Yeah. Exclamation question.
Exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Big, bold, neon letters.
Yeah, no, I'll send you
Please.
this like duo. They do kind of a sit down conversation. They speak to creators. They just talk about a lot about behind the scenes, a lot about money too, about like what creators make, but just whatever.
I think think it's a difficult thing because in this economy currently of like creator economy, there are layers, right? So there are the first people that work for us, so like that's kind of where I am, like the freelancer who goes out and builds someone else's brand. Then there's the freelancers that realize that they need to transition, which is kind of where I'm beginning, where they need to transition into a brand to become a brand to be able to become an agency, right? Because that's my end goal, is to have something that's beyond me.
Yeah.
Because I love doing what I do, and I see a lot of friends who love what they do and end up getting like quote unquote real jobs.
It's not sustainable, yeah.
Because it's too hard, or they don't know how to price, they don't know how to do all that. I mean, like pricing negotiations alone, learning that stuff will save you, but at the same time, we need to do the good work, and you gotta get out there and do the work. So
I find that this group of people, they talk a lot about like two like big creators, which is very interesting, just like the mindset of them, and then they'll talk to like the crew that works for those big creators, their editors,
because like look at
production
someone
managers.
look at like Gary Vee is a great example.
Okay.
Right? He puts out content daily.
Yeah.
And people try and copy him. Like
Yeah.
people like us try and copy him. I was like, you guys are psychos. Because you're gonna burn out.
Yeah.
Right? And burnout is like do we wanna talk about burnout right now? Because it's massive right now.
Yeah, well, seasonal too, I think.
Do you think it's seasonal?
A little bit. I feel maybe it's just like the world that I'm in because of the whole wedding industry in the summer.
Yeah.
It just kills you. So like,
Yeah.
once the summer's done and like weddings are done for me,
It's easier.
it's easier, but you also like die for
Yeah.
a few weeks.
Isn't it funny how cyclical stuff is
Yeah.
in that regard? Like I find for me, January is usually my month of recuperation. That's usually where I don't have much work going on. I usually get really impatient.
Well, you jump from busy summer season to Christmas and holiday season.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
My busy season's always October, November. Like for some reason there's about a 25-30% increase of how much work comes through. Like actual volume of work.
Is that because you've done shoots in the summer, or is that because people want work
Budgets.
done?
All the budgets get renewed in September, and they start to scramble in October, like shit, we've got to spend
Maybe
so
there's
money
money left.
on media. And then they start rolling. And yeah, usually goes in every quarter you'll see it, especially with like commercial work and like advertising. You know, you'll see that. And then you'll see people who are like, I want to do this. Like I realize the downturn is happening, so they want to position themselves as the leader during that downturn, and that can be really powerful for them. And so they need to get ahead of the downturn so they don't have the lack of funds to do it when they're there, which is kind of, those ones are the fun ones. Yeah.
Just creating content when you have
Yeah.
capital to do so.
Yeah. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the burnout is, man, I have heard probably about 5 of my friends who run businesses in the last 2 weeks talk about getting out of it. Just getting out, just going back to doing something
Doing the 9 to 5.
simple, doing the 9 to 5. Like I was looking at LinkedIn jobs recently and saw like a lighting expert in Unreal Engine. I'm like, okay, so Unreal Engine I probably need 6 weeks to get up to the point where I could be effective in it, but then I could lead because I know how to light, I know the basics of 3D, and I could just lead that stuff. Because a lot of the times people learn how to do the CG work, but don't necessarily have the background in lighting. I have the background in lighting, and I also CG work, so I could easily do that. Make 100K a year, that'd be nice.
Pretty comfortable.
Pretty comfortable.
Yeah. No stress.
No stress. Like,
Sounds pretty good.
it does. But then it's like,
But that's like you have to love what you do.
Exactly,
That's the thing is, even with something as simple as reselling clothing online, anyone can do it. There are so many sites where you can sell stuff.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Facebook is just cluttered with stuff all the time, and that's fantastic for planet, but it makes it hard to consistently post stuff and actually build a business out of it unless you love it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel that the burnout happens regardless.
yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
Let me tell you right now, it might have been the week that we met 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Every day I would come home from the office and I would just lay down on my couch and just sometimes stare at my phone. My cat would be biting my feet. I would just get frustrated. Alex would come in and I would just stay there, and like I would have to continue to work because there's that much stuff going on that are like on my to-do list. And then, you go the next day, but you get through it. You just keep, when you push yourself. And I've heard a lot of people talk about burnout and how you prevent it, which I don't think is possible, but when you do free time, when you do something for yourself and you take free time to just do that thing and not do any work. I am so guilty about multitasking. I'll be watching TV and it'll be a show I love or whatever. I'm on my phone. Always.
It's something I'm actively trying to change in my life right now.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that I've fallen into a poor habit of, I'll go to bed and I'll watch like a YouTube show before I go to bed. And it's usually about how to light something or, negotiations or anything to do with business. The problem is that your brain starts ramping up.
Especially if you're watching something that can help you, like,
yeah, exactly.
educate yourself.
Education. So then I switched to entertainment stuff, and that stuff alone doesn't, you're still consuming before you go to bed. So it's like trying to distance myself from the phone as much as possible.
It's like whatever you're doing, however you can. And it's funny because, we're talking about recording ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're out for dinner, even just going out for dinner and not having your phone on you, like, obviously you take a picture of your dinner and I get that.
Yeah.
I'm for that. But then put your phone away.
You are very guilty of that.
I'm very guilty of that.
You're very guilty. You make me hungry a lot on your feet.
Yeah, like, I love food. I love food.
Yeah.
So like, that's one thing that I'll do that, and then put it away because you need to. That's what I do in my free time to recharge. Is
enjoy the life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
also you do film your life for yourself a little bit, so differentiating working versus taking pictures because you're wanting memories.
Yeah.
It's different. Also, when we go out for dinner, I have my own personal account, but we usually go out with Alex's parents who run Carriage Lane and Craig Logan, and then obviously I run Sediment. So I've got 4 accounts that I have to create content for.
And so it becomes work.
In some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just depends on what we're doing.
The nice thing is too is you can use that. Like you'll probably end up using some of this content for your stuff too, and I'll use some of it for my content. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, but you can only take so many angles of a burger. Really?
Tell that to food photographers.
Yeah.
They get picky about their food.
Yeah, but like we went to Bloomfield Public House for County Lunches. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I was, I created a reel for myself because it's what I like. But then I was also posting meals for Lisa and Craig and trying to get like what they ordered instead of what I ordered because I knew I was going to post on my own personal thing. I was like, oh, I ordered the pasta. And Craig ordered the steak. I should probably take a picture of his steak. It doesn't look like I also took the same picture of my pasta.
This is why it looks like you have so many meals with go out.
Yeah, exactly. It's because there's usually like 6 of us.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. In wrapping, if you could say something to the 22-year-old version of you, like if you could give that person some tidbit of knowledge that would help them move forwards at a greater pace or just at a cleaner pace, what would you say?
Wow, that's hard, eh? It's probably something along the lines of like just staying true to what you love. Yeah. And sorry, I guess. Being you.
Be real.
Yeah. Be you. Because I was not I'm not the same person as, and no one is, but I was certainly not who I am. And you can tell. If you look at pictures or if you look at any of those videos on YouTube. I was making beauty content.
beauty content in itself has a lot of following though. So you probably looked at that and you
Yeah,
can probably
but-
tap into that following.
Well-
Like the younger version of you is just because that's kind of like my kids, like
Yeah.
when they're learning how to do like their eye makeup and stuff like that. They go and they search on how to do eye makeup.
Yeah, but I don't know any, like, it's not me at all.
I know. Well, you've
I
become
know.
you. You've become you through the
Yeah,
years of
it's
doing
just
that
funny.
kind of thing and discovering who you are. I feel like when you leave school, that's when you truly start to discover who you are.
Yeah.
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 I think the advice that I'd give to the younger me would be to stop giving a shit about what people think. Because the reality is they're too busy worrying about their shit and what people think of them to actually think anything about you. It's
That's so good for everyone. Now, actually.
Yeah.
Anyone now. Say that to yourself now.
just wake up in the morning, look at the mirror and just say, no one gives a fuck. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning mantra, why not?
Your morning mantra.
Doing
Go
your
to
yoga.
No one gives a fuck. Just do it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the podcast. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
This has been fun.
It's fun.
If anybody wants to follow you, catch you on your socials, how can they find you?
Yeah. My socials are just at Courtney Genereaux, and then Sediment is Sediment Apparel. Pretty much everywhere.
And we'll put the things on the screens. They can follow and tag you and all that fun stuff. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.
Peace.
Yeah. Fun.
That was fun.
I'm stuck. Can I input something? What do I do?
Oh, that's pretty much it.
Oh my gosh, is my phone still recording?
Is
Look
it
at
really?
that.
I'm like, let's see if these guys are still working. This one died. Okay, hopefully we got some of that. That one's dead.
Well, I have it on.